I love maps, and video games have plenty of them. In this series, we will analyze and review maps from different strategy games and have some fun. That being said, welcome to Map Review. Hello guys, it's ThePrezydent and welcome to another map review. Today we're going to review map of Hearts of Iron 4, and you might be wondering, hey ThePrezydent, that's impossible. This is a historical map, everything is accurate, how can you review that, eh? Well, I'm not a historian, but I know some stuff, and I still know what makes, good empire shapes in a way. Let's just see how I'm gonna do that. Okay, just trust me. When it comes to settlements here and everything, or should I say provinces, they all are historical at the moment, right? It all looks beautiful. But when we start conquering and we start making, newer, better looking nations, sometimes they don't look so good. And so not only because we're creating border goal, as some people say, we just, conquer random provinces and make the whole map look ugly. It's not only that. Sometimes the game just doesn't allow you to create a good looking thing. Okay, so I think this is gonna be a longer episode, by the way. Many provinces around Germany were created so that Germany can expand in a nice way. For example, the Sudetenland, right? They occupied that when they were kind of taking Czechoslovakia piece by piece. And this is a cool addition, but it also looks hideous. A weird province of Czechoslovakia. And what I mean by that is that imagine a scenario in which Italy joins the Allies, right? This is like a historical game. Italy joins the Allies and there's a peace conference. And they end up conquering Austria, this part of Bavaria, and then boom, Sudetenland. They just take that. This will look so weird with this little thing sticking out of Italy. And sometimes AI in the game doesn't understand that it look bad and they're just creating a border guard. And that's why I think although it's a plus that's historical, it could also be divided into two pieces so that it also looks better, right? Memel looks cool. Memel is a good addition, nothing can really be wrong about Memel. It's like the smallest province probably, but it makes sense historically and it's kind of good looking. And before all the updates in the game, before the DLC, Prussia, or should I say East Prussia, used to be just one province, but now it's divided, so that when there can be a peace deal, and you can do it historically with Russia taking Kaliningrad and Poland being given the Ermeland Mazuren, or Warmię Mazury, as they would like to call it. And many recent changes in the map in the game were actually made because of this area, because they wanted to make Poland look better after the war, right? So they can just take these lands, lose all of that, and boom, we have the shape of Poland. The problem that it's creating is that when Germany and Russia split Poland mid-game, they're gonna have these borders. And these borders are ahistorical when it comes to actually borders they had, during the war. And I think they compromised by actually, they thought that giving Poland provinces that look like that is actually much better. Yet to some point. And I think that the best solution for HOI4 would actually be to allow for creating many provinces like this one. Just creating little provinces, in some places. And it would kind of look weird because, some states would be large, some states would be small, and it'll be kind of hard to create peace deals. But what if we just allow them to, be able to build less buildings like Katowice or Zalozje, right? Just make more provinces like that and put them around here. I think it could really save this place, And same thing here in Yugoslavia. They also updated this so that when you have Serbia, right, you can have a nice looking Serbia, you can have nice looking Croatia and stuff, and all could be cool if not for one thing. You can't actually create a shape that Serbia has right now. And that's what they're going for, right? Because if you create Serbia, there's a huge weird thing of Croatia sticking into it. And why couldn't they just make it a small, province? It would save a lot of travel. And same here, if you want to have a Slovenia, and historically they have a really coast right here, no, you have to own hold the whole Istria. And that's just strange. And you may be thinking, oh, I'm just hitting the map. Not necessarily. I really love the map, and it's hard to find little historical inaccuracies like these. But I think they're just clearly visible for me. Some things are, really good looking for me. I mean, provinces for the most part look really fine. I know it's the best way to show you them. Wait, states. They look fine. What can I say? When you're trying to rebuild Germany, you can actually get Poznan and Danzig, like the old Germany, and still looks pretty good. And, I can appreciate that. But then again, you look north, these provinces, although they're huge because nobody lives there, they're kind of weird looking. That's just my opinion. I would love for them to include many smaller, states, very little ones. Like, for example, Liechtenstein in between here. I mean, even this shadow has a nice shape of it. But they could be pointless to the gameplay, so it's not really a big problem for me. But there are some problems, like here in Turkey. Turkey right now controls this little piece of land right here. But if you play as Turkey, it's impossible for them to get that. Because this is just a huge province of Aleppo. And I don't like that. And also, province of Armenia, right? Currently, that's the shape of Armenia, yes. But historically, Armenia wasn't just here. This was also like Armenian, and there's no really mentioning of that, and I kind of get that this is Turkey now for a long time. But what if you want to recreate Albania and like get bigger? Whatever, I'm talking about Albanian HOI4. What's wrong with me? Okay. A few other bad things is this island of Iwo Jima being very huge. Okay, it's thick. It's much smaller than that. It looks like, this whole island or this. It's really incomparable in real life. I think what they were trying to do is create two little tiles here so that America can like land and have a land battle with Japan. But they never did that. Or maybe they left it for later so they can have a DLC when like the combat here on these islands can look a bit different. But again, they never did that. And especially after many people probably messaged them and telling them, hey, this is huge, it looks like Iwo Jima on steroids. They still didn't fix that. Yeah, that's kind of strange. Another part of my critique is that East Bengal, Bangladesh, is just one province, although it has 32 million people. Okay. Other than that, it's kind of fine, and the map has really amazing details in other places, like here. This little province right here owned by France, which is still owned by today. It's here, France owns it, and I don't know what strategical purpose it may serve, but they still included it and made a state. Like some islands here, like look at that, many people will never even see that, or you look, 96 people are here and they still included it. That's some amazing attention to detail showed by the Paradox team, and I really like that. We gotta appreciate stuff like this, and even every single state, almost every single state in the United States is actually a separate state, which is amazing. They could just put a huge province here in the middle and calling it Central America or whatever, like Central US, and I don't think anybody would mind that. But you never did that, which is so cool. But New England is one thing. weird. Whatever. Canada, like Canada's provinces are really good looking. For a huge size of Canada and small population, they really did a fine job. With huge provinces here, of course, and smaller ones here. But it doesn't make for ugly shapes if you want to expand here. As American, you can just take this and it looks really fine, I guess, you know? And these are the actual like shapes of Canada's provinces, but they still look good. They still look good. And look, even these are separate states, so some nation can just conquer them. Maybe the Axis on Japan, they can just, you know, go through from them. Nice attention to detail. My opinion, again. And let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is Russia, because it's huge, or should I say, the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union has, of course, many states, many provinces. And it's kind of hard to just carpet them, the whole thing out, as, you know, some power dividing Russia into pieces after the, you know, the war ends. And although it's annoying, the way they live in Russia, I think, is relatively good. Yeah, sure, there are huge provinces here in Siberia, but who's gonna take that anyway? I mean, the best, or maybe this is kind of crappy because, oh yeah, I just want the coast and boom, you're taking the whole Siberia. I think the best thing to not create border guards is always to leave like some sort of republic right here. Like creating a, you know, Soviet Republic in Siberia. And yeah, when it comes to creating new countries, HOI4 has actually, you know, supplied us with plenty of alternatives here, plenty of claims that can be used to create new nations. This is really good, especially since in, you know, previous updates they didn't have that. And I was finding myself constantly looking for new nations in the game and, you know, different mods, and I installed them because when I made a peace deal as sub-country, for example, let's say I'm playing as Iran, right, and I'm trying to recreate the Persian Empire. I conquered Iraq, France, Turkey, it looks amazing, but then I'm finding myself at war with the Soviet Union and I just destroyed them, let's say that, I just destroyed them completely. And I don't want to, you know, expand there, but then again I don't want to still have a huge Soviet Union, I want to have some puppet states. And the game just didn't allow me to do that because there was no, you know, nations here that were releasable. And I hate that. And in games like EU4, it was always available to me. And it was great when you could like create a huge small puppet state somewhere and then they could be your allies and buddies. That was just great. I love that. You know, here is different. And now let's talk about China for a little bit. There are different warlords, which is pretty cool. It all looks, you know, nice, historical. But I don't think that China was so unified when it comes to, you know, different warlords. They could add a bit more of them, but whatever. China's China, it's all a mess anyway in this game. What can I say? And I don't know if we really have historical accounts of how everything was really here arranged. It was really hard, tough time for China. They did a good job with what they had, okay? And yeah, we kind of covered most of Asia. India is fine for the most part. You can recreate Bangladesh, you can recreate, Pakistan and Bangladesh. Although you can make it Pakistan too. Which, you know, whatever is fine for you. Moving to Africa. Africa for the most part is fine. There are many states here in the north, so that it makes for really nice looking empires and like colonies. It's all looking pretty good. In the middle though, the provinces are huge, but it's kind of understandable because I don't think that if you are some European power and after the war you're just gonna, you know, have little weird lines going on here. Now it's best to just release some nations and make them your puppets, you know, when you're playing the game. And Southwest Africa or Namibia is just one province, which is weird, but okay. And there's a weird lack of inclusion of, you know, different little nations that were inside of South Africa. You know, those little actual kind of African republics that were here. That, you know, not a lot of white people live there. It wasn't highly colonized. It had kind of its own self-rule in some places. And I think if they allowed us to recreate, you know, few of them and maybe, you know, even create like a Zulu cool nation, how amazing would that be? Well, the map looks pretty. I can tell you that. Everything here looks pretty. South America is weird. Nothing really happens in the game here, but the provinces are pretty nice. They make for good shapes. I know that Peru had a little war with Ecuador during the war, and maybe they could kind of recreate that, but who cares about even looking at South America in this game? I don't think it's anybody's, you know, primary thing to do. Or maybe it is. Maybe you're playing South America. I played sometimes. I played it as Argentina, but that's off the point. It's map review. Clap, clap. Okay. Does it have a claim to Argentina? Yeah, it has Argentina claim. Oh, that's nice attention to detail. I love that. Okay. Australia. Let's talk about Australia. Australia has many states here surrounding, you know, the central thing where nobody really lives. But I think that most of the population is kind of still in the coast, so more of coastal provinces will be kind of nicer. Anyway, maybe it's too late, you know, in the gameplay to say that. I guess that's should be more of a thing in Europe or Universalized, so I'll give it a pass, okay? I give you a pass, Australia. I like you. Okay, so I think that's mostly all. There's really few historical inaccuracies. Most of it is, of course, really historical, top-notch paradox, you know, jab, and I love the map. And it's kind of weird reviewing a historical map, but when I see a map like that, I always want to kind of change it. I used to always have, you know, play with maps in Paint and like kind of try creating my own little empires and like see alternative scenarios. And HOI4 is really a place when you can really, you know, do that. You can recreate certain nations. You can really play with the focus trees. Look, you can so much alternatives with posing Hitler, Germany, and doing stuff like that. It makes so much changes, and I think that even if it's a historical title, it's important to analyze its map, see your role-playing abilities, and see how much your imaginations can actually push the game, like make the world different, and imagine how the world would look later after the game ends, after, you know, quit the game. Was the world a better place, a worse place, or did you just, you know, create a huge border in Russia, like writing some weird sentence with, you know, promises, creating letters and stuff? It can be done. But I think this freedom is also really good. You know, is freedom in these games, after all, that's pretty good thing about them. And you know, talking off topic right now, I should be really ending that video because it's map review and I'm here to review maps, and my review for this map and my final verdict will be a 9. You might be now thinking, oh, you critiqued that map for so long. And I'm gonna tell you, I didn't critique it almost at all. For such a huge map with so many provinces and so many places to mess up, they haven't even done too many. This is a good map, this is a good representation, it gives you so much place to be creative. Yeah, it deserves 9. It has some inaccuracies, that's why I can't give it a 10. But it's a 9 for me. Give me your opinions and thoughts in the comments below. Actually, I would be pretty happy to, you know, read them. I usually don't get comments. You know, that's a thing. You probably, I'm talking to no one right now. Okay, I'm just kidding. Okay, see you guys. Bye.